Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 18th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Monday. Happy Garfield Day to ya. Hopefully, you got that lasagna today. I know for me, I got a nice heaping helping. It was mad traditional, and I loved it. It was a good day. It felt back to just being back to normal, you know? I go to work at 8 o'clock and I'm getting through the cardboard at a normal pace. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I see why everyone was looking at me crazy when I was like saying, hey, I feel like it's busier this week because I was busier in my department handling all the trash because I was coming an hour later. So yeah, that was nice to debunk that little mystery. But yeah, overall today was good. It was solid. Nothing crazy happened, no fires to put out. So that's good. We love that. Let's see here. Oh, before I go any further, I want to talk about a food corner real quick from last night. I did another food bowl, as I usually do these days. This time I switched it up on the protein. Instead of chicken, we did ground beef. It's nice to always get back to some ground beef every once in a while, as a little treat. But speaking of treats, I switched up some of the toppings and I did something a little different, a little weird, maybe a little weird. I'd say it's weird. Definitely not traditional. But I mixed the ground beef with watermelon and tomatoes. So I'm sure you're going, what? Huh? Yeah. Like it was just something that was rattling around in my head ever since I had those tacos from Mitas. And I was just like, yo, I want to try, to like cook with a watermelon, in some way, shape, or form with like a savory dish. And I want to see how it feels. So I would say that overall it came out well. I enjoyed eating it, but it's not something I would necessarily run back anytime soon. But it was nice to kind of experiment with it. And I would say something that I really enjoyed about the meal was that because I added the watermelon, I changed how I seasoned a bit. So like we added like some cinnamon, I added like some like sweeter things like honey and stuff. Though I usually actually wind up adding honey. It's kind of like one of my little hacks that I like to just put in. But yeah, I mean it was a nice balance of like something somewhat sweet, still overall savory. It was very good. By the time I was done with it, I was like, all right, I'm glad I did that, but I don't think I need like another run at it, another pass. But yeah, that was an interesting food corner that I figured I'd mention. Now anyway, back to today. Post work, we went to the gym. Once again, classic co style. And gym was busy, as it is every Monday, but I did get on all the machines that I wanted to get on, so that was good. I will say actually the leg press was busy. Usually that's the leg work I like to do, just because you can hop on it real quick, get in a few sets, and you're good to go. But it was taken, but the leg extension and the leg curl were both free. So I was like, all right, well this is perfect. All right, I'll just hop on those. And we did those, and I did like a seated calf raise, and I was like, all right, that is perfect. That works for me on a Monday. Usually I don't even get that kind of work on a Monday. So yeah, it was nice to do that, with some cardio, all the usual stuff. And I would say today was a good workout session for sure. And I would say it was an overall good day today. So we love that. It felt good to just get back to square one, get back to business, and, just feel normal. I will say I still feel a little stuffy, but that just is what it is. It's fine. But yeah, that's been my day. That's how I'm feeling. That's where I'm at. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. Ooh. Ooh. I don't know why I'm making spooky noises. I'll tell you, maybe why I'm making spooky noises. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for October. I mean, I'm not a spooky guy. I'm not like a huge Halloween enjoyer, but I generally love the time because it's generally not as hot. So I like that. I like being in fall. I like pumpkin spice. I like pumpkins. I do like costumes. I like seeing people in costumes. I don't like wearing a costume. Anyway, I don't know why I'm getting in the weeds about Halloween in the middle of August. But anyway. All right. Let's get into some news. From NBC News. Hamas accepts an Arab ceasefire proposal on Gaza as Palestinian death toll passes 62,000. Hamas said Monday it has accepted a new proposal from Arab mediators for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip that would still need Israel's approval, as Gaza's health ministry said the Palestinian death toll from 22 months of war has passed 62,000. This is something that President Donald Trump has poo-pooed on, though you would think, like, okay, a ceasefire, something that would, bring some peace for 60 days. Now, he's like, we need to see the hostages return and Hamas destroyed. I'm paraphrasing the quote. But, I mean, that's essentially running exactly with what Benjamin Netanyahu wants, which seems like he is more or less in lockstep with, what Israel wants, which is not surprising. That's not new. It's not news. But, I'm curious to see if Israel does accept it. My guess, my speculation is no, they won't. My guess is that they're going to move the goalposts or say, something to the effect of, we don't trust Hamas, whatever. Insert excuse, reason here. I think in this article, Benjamin Netanyahu mentions that, Hamas wouldn't be making this ceasefire proposal or accepting this ceasefire proposal if they weren't scared, which is saying, oh, yeah, we got them on the ropes. Let's keep pushing, which is like, you mean keep killing. You mean keep extending your genocide, right? So, I don't want to like be a wet blanket or anything like that. I hope that you at least get some kind of ceasefire out of this, some kind of, accepted motion, but I don't know. I'm just very pessimistic these days. So, there's more to the article, of course, but we've covered a good amount of it. So I just wanted to cover that part right there up at the top of the episode. But speaking of updates, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. Coming out of Texas, coming out of Politico. Texas Democrats have returned home, ending redistricting standoff. Texas Democrats who left the state to stymie Republicans over redistricting have returned to Austin, ending a 2-week standoff over President Donald Trump's plan to carve out 5 new GOP congressional seats. Their return to the state means that the Texas House now has the sufficient number of legislators needed to pass a new map benefiting the GOP. This is gerrymandering, by the way. I added that. Democrats had used the gambit to stall the legislative process, or to stall legislative business, and bring national attention to Republicans' decision to pursue off-cycle redistricting ahead of the midterms. In a statement, the Texas House Democratic Caucus said that members returned on Monday morning to launch the next phase of their fight against the racist gerrymander that provoked a weeks-long standoff with Governor Greg Abbott and President Trump. Now, I mean, we covered this initially, and I really didn't touch the story too much. I think, and I think my listeners, you probably would agree, you saw this all coming. We kind of knew that this would have an inevitable end of the Democrats coming back, because at the end of the day, Texas is going to exert as much pressure, any pressure that they could, to get them to come back and or face the consequences when they did. So inevitably, and also that you can't run this forever. You have to come back and vote. You have to be a part of the caucus in which you will lose said vote, and they will get to gerrymander and do what they want. So it was kind of like, so what's the play, guys? What are you going to do? And essentially they said, okay, well, I'm going to read this highlighted portion now. Texas Democrats debated how long to stay away from the state, but ultimately laid out 2 conditions for their return: that the legislature end its first special session, and that California lawmakers introduced their own map granting Democrats 5 more seats to counter Texas. Both of those occurred on Friday, prompting the Texas lawmakers to start returning home. On the first part, though, okay, you dodged the first session, but guess what? The second you guys got back, they held a new one, and it's now going to, a commission now to get started. So that didn't really do anything. Part 2 here is the California part, which is like, okay, there's some merits there. You got Gavin Newsom all hopped up, and he's talking shit now and all that, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But we've discussed that that's not a clean, clear-cut thing. You don't know that you're actually going to get what you want there. They are introducing legislation. Cool. We'll see how that fucking goes. But not to mention, that doesn't just end it right there. More states can get pushed to doing this kind of redistricting, this gerrymandering. So Trump can still potentially, vie to get what he wants. And there's probably a good chance that he's going to fucking get it. Because we've talked about this. Like, when it comes down to it, conservative Republicans are just better at doing this shit. They are willing to put the pedal to the metal every fucking time. And more times than not, sorry, I've got like a snack in my mouth still. More times than not, the Democrats just fail to deliver. They do a lot of talking, they do a lot of squawking when, pushed to the fire. But whenever they actually have any real power, any real say, they don't get anything done. They don't do anything. And you can say, well, we're talking something different, Isaiah. We're talking Texas, specifically. Okay, whatever. But this always plays out the same on a macro scale, on a minor scale. So I'm not really like that impressed. I'm not enthused by any of these actions, any of these motions by Democrats. I will say, yes, it's good that you made a stink about it and you did draw attention to it. That's cool. That's like maybe the only admirable thing, you can put in your cap, I guess. But you just didn't do anything. And I'm almost certain that if you guys had the juice, you wouldn't have handled this. So, like, whatever. Cool story, bro. Welcome back home. It's also worth noting, too, that it looks like Texas legislature is seemingly going to go ahead with their threat. They have like a police detail on like all the Democrats and stuff, and they like have them like they have their house watch. So that's crazy. That's intense. But then also they're saying, hey, you are gonna have to pay all those fines, like thousands of dollars of fines. So these motherfuckers aren't rolling in money, hence why they are down to like sometimes take like bribes of like less than $500,000 because it's like, oh my god, that's so much money. I guess I don't care about the people of my fucking district or my state or whatever. I'm fine with it. Fuck the country. Give me the money, please. But yeah, so I mean, once again, you can call it a noble endeavor if you want to. I think it's a stunt, and you could say if it worked or didn't work. We'll find out in the future if they get to keep their seats come next election. I don't know. Once again, I'm very pessimistic. I just like cool story, bruh. But let's just see what happens next. Anyway, let's move on. We're like almost all updates today. Our next story comes out of the Associated Press. Ketamine queen, accused of selling fatal dose to Matthew Perry, agrees to plead guilty. A woman known as the Ketamine Queen, charged with selling Matthew Perry the drug that killed him, agreed to plead guilty Monday. Jasveen Sangha becomes the fifth and final defendant charged on the overdose death of the Friend star, to strike a plea agreement with federal prosecutors, avoiding a trial that had been planned for September. Excuse me. She agreed in a signed statement filed in court to plead guilty to 5 federal criminal charges, including providing the ketamine that led to Perry's death. In a brief statement, Sangha's lawyer, Mark Garagos, said only she's taking responsibility for her actions. Prosecutors had cast Sangha, a 42-year-old citizen of the United States and the UK, as a prolific drug dealer who was known to her customers as the Ketamine Queen, using the term often in press releases and court documents. She agreed to plead guilty to 1 count of maintaining drug-involved premises, 3 counts of distribution of ketamine, and 1 count of distribution of ketamine resulting in death or serious bodily injury. The final plea deal came a year after federal prosecutors announced that 5 people have been charged in Perry's October 28th, 2023 death after a sweeping investigation. Sangha admitted in the agreement to selling 4 vials of ketamine to another man, Cody McClory, hours before he died from an overdose in 2019. McClory had no relationship to Perry. Prosecutors will drop 3 other counts related to the distribution of ketamine and 1 count of distribution of methamphetamine that was unrelated to the Perry case. Sangha will officially change her plea to guilty at an upcoming hearing where sentencing will be scheduled, prosecutors said. She could get up to 45 years in prison. Now, potentially, a judge could push from beyond that amount. He's not legally obligated to, but I would say most likely it is gonna maybe be around there, but we'll see. We'll definitely come back to the story around that time. I guess we can just do a little bit of rundown. We got the time. She and Dr. Salvador Plasencia, who pleaded guilty last month, had been the primary targets of the investigation. Three other defendants, Dr. Mark Chavez, Kenneth Iwamasa, and Eric Fleming, pleaded guilty in exchange for their cooperation, which included statements implicating Sangha and Placicina, whatever. Perry was found dead in his Los Angeles home by Iwamasa, his assistant. The medical examiner ruled that ketamine, typically used as a surgical anesthetic, was the primary cause of death. They talk a little bit about Sangha. I will say my biggest takeaway from Sangha is her drip was crazy. I'm sorry, I would never have pictured the ketamine queen to be in like a fedora kind of, Boulder style brimmed hat with a Kiss shirt on. And, the pants that she was wearing, those were kind of nice. But that whole vibe looked like she was just straight out of a fucking Fall Out Boy concert or something. And I'm like, damn, that's the person who's pushing that fucking K? Oh, God, well, all right. All righty room, macaroon. I mean, that's neither here nor there, but I was just like, okay, that is a swag choice. And, as a guy who just got heckled for wearing a big hat last weekend, who am I to speak? What can I say? But yeah, this is an unfortunate incident in terms, with Matthew Perry, big star. Shame that he, lost his life, battle of addiction, all that. It's really hard, really unfortunate. I know for some people this feels like justice, and they're like, okay, at least we can, cross our T's, dot our I's on this stuff, and we can move on. And I guess so. I don't know. I feel like I feel the pull to have a rant about the system and how like this isn't any kind of adequate, fix for the problems at hand. You could easily have the situation happen over and over and over again, and you are, but instead we just say, okay, this is good enough, and we'll have our president yell at Mexico and Canada and China, and then that'll fix everything, and we'll have less deaths like Matthew Perry, and everything will be better. Rainbows and all that. I don't know, but I don't see that happening. But that's what's being pushed to me. So I don't know what to tell you. So I guess this is justice. I guess that's that. Anywho, speaking of justice, we have some quick justice coming right up, coming straight out of Dubai. But we have a last break to take, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. The urge to sing Summer Breeze is strong right now. I don't know why. But real shit, that's a banger song. If you have not heard the song Summer Breeze, listen to it. Summer Breeze makes me feel fine. Anyway, sorry. Alrighty, Roo. From CBS News. Thieves steal pink diamond worth $25 million in Dubai. Then are caught hours later. Freaky fast. Dubai police said on Monday they caught 3 thieves just hours after they stole a precious pink diamond worth $25 million. The Dubai Police General Command has foiled the theft of a very rare pink diamond, valued at $25 million. The police said in a statement shared by the United Arab Emirates, or the UAE, official news agency WAM. A diamond trader who had brought the jewel from Europe was lured to a villa by a crime gang under the pretense of a viewing by a potential wealthy client, police said. But the gem was stolen when the diamond dealer arrived for the bogus inspection. I just had a problem, a man can be heard saying on an emergency call released by the Dubai media office. I came to meet a client to sell a diamond to them. They looked at the stone, and now it's stolen. Within 8 hours, 3 people from an unspecified Asian country were arrested thanks to the efforts of specialized and field teams. And by using the latest artificial intelligence technologies. Ugh. We caught him with AI. Yuck. Sure, man. That's so cool. We use the algorithm. You know what, though? Real shit. That feels Minority Report coded. I hate that. That makes me feel really icky, actually. I mean, I know it's not the first time this has happened. I know this isn't breaking news, but it's like, cool, cool. Couldn't you just said you just did crackpot detective work or some shit? Please. Video footage shared by the Dubai media office showed the three men with their faces blurred after their arrest, as well as CCTV footage of the gang. Dubai is an important hub diamond trading, sorry. Tightly controlled and policed by the UAE. Tightly controlled and policed, the UAE prides itself on its security and stability. The heist came just days after police said a group of thieves stole $2 million of merchandise from a family-owned jewelry store in Seattle in a daylight robbery that took only 90 seconds. So yeah, I shudder to think of what would happen if I tried to steal something in Dubai, drink something, alcoholic in Dubai. Nah, I shudder to think. No way. Not unless I had a hell of a lot of money, and I knew the right people to make that kind of shit happen. Ain't no way I'm risking it all, cause who knows? I mean, if we do hear any kind of sentencing or whatever, I would love to come back to the story. But I'm sure it's not going to be good for these three culprits. It's probably not going to go well for them. They're probably going to be locked up for a very, very long time. But yeah, pink diamond, very rare. And retrieved very fast. Anyway, that's it though. That's all I really have for today. Nice and easy. Easing back into the swing of things, if you will. But yeah, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Whatever listening platform you would like to listen to me on. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is always caring. And all the stars are appreciated. I really like it. I really thank you a lot for doing that if you've done that. But I really appreciate you just listening. I think that's really cool that you tune in to hear my hijinks, shenanigans, and attempt to tell the news. Or at least, the news in some kind of satirical, comedic kind of way that's legal and isn't going to get me sued. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have for today. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.